Did you know that Disney has actually changed Clone Troopers forever? What's up guys, my name is Mike, and I'm the Weird Pigeon of Weird Pigeon Productions, and today we're going to be talking about Clone Troopers. Really, Clone Trooper costumes, or I should say the lack thereof, and how Disney has changed the costume forever. Now, as a lot of you probably know, the Clone Troopers that we see in the prequel trilogy in live action are all completely computer generated. They're all CGI characters. None of them are real. At least the ones that we see wearing armor. And you may be wondering, why did they do this? I searched and searched the internet and I really couldn't find a good reason as to why they decided to go with CGI clones instead of actual actors in costumes like the stormtroopers were in the original trilogy. But it most likely comes down to story and money. With an entire army made of clones, the people wearing costumes would have to be all the exact height, the exact build, have the exact shape. It would be really hard to cast thousands of actors and stunt performers who all basically shared the exact same form. By creating all of these troopers in a computer, you can make sure they're all the exact same person. And it also saves you a lot of time and money because you no longer need to build hundreds of costumes, hire hundreds of actors, pay these guys day in and day out during each shoot. Instead, you literally just create a model and copy and paste it and change up some color here and there to show rank, and you're good, you got it. That's it. Now, in the prequel trilogy, when animating these clone troopers, they still needed somebody to do the motion capture. And a lot of times this was either Temuera Morrison or the actual CGI techs and animators themselves in mocap suits doing all the action and performing. Later on for Revenge of the Sith, they continued to use Temuera Morrison for a lot of the motion capture, but they also used a lot of military professionals to do the motion capture for the clones, just to make them feel a little more real. After these two movies, the next time we see Clone Troopers is in the Clone Wars animated TV show. But we're not really going to talk about that because we're really just focusing on live action and costuming for this. The next time we see Clone Troopers in live action was really years and years later in the Book of Boba Fett, of all places. When we see Clone Troopers, it's actually a flashback in little baby Yoda Grogu's mind of Order 66. Again, they continue to use CGI characters rather than actual people in costumes. But it wasn't for really a few months later that Disney decided to completely change Clone Troopers in live action forever. And that was with the Kenobi TV show. And specifically, the very opening of the show shows Order 66. And we get 501st Clone Troopers storming the Jedi Temple. And unlike every single depiction of Clone Troopers so far, these were actual actors in actual physical costumes. These Clone Troopers were not CGI. They were real. They were actually there. And again, I scoured the internet searching for reasons as to why they went with physical people in physical costumes rather than CGI, like we had seen every single Clone Trooper leading up to this point, and I couldn't find a single thing. So if you know the reason, I'd really like to hear it. But honestly, I think it comes down to just the choices of the people working on the show. It's probably a lot easier to show actors in costumes on screen rather than CGI, all these characters, especially with all the choreography and the stunts going on in the scenes. It would probably just be easier, and in my opinion, it does look a lot better. Luckily, in this show, we're not seeing a lot of these actors in costumes side by side for a very long time. It's very quick cuts, quick takes. So you really can't tell that these are all different people. They look like clones. They look very uniform. It probably would have been harder to pull this off if these scenes were a lot longer and really focused more on the clones rather than what's actually happening in the story. Which may be why they, again, went with CGI characters for the Book of Boba Fett, which literally aired just a few months before. One really interesting fact about Kenobi is this was actually the first time Temuera Morrison, who played Jango Fett and all the clones, was in physical Clone Trooper armor. And you may be thinking to yourself, but we literally see Temuera Morrison playing Commander Cody in Clone Trooper armor with the helmet off in episode 3. Well, again, the suit of armor was not actually real. It was all CGI. They just had Temuera Morrison wearing a mocap suit, standing there next to Ewan McGregor, walking around doing the motion capture for the scene, and in post, they literally just added the armor on digitally. And sometimes it wasn't even Temuera Morrison at all. For a lot of the background shots of clones without their helmets, They literally made a 3D model of Temuera Morrison's head and just animated that with the clone trooper body rather than having him come in and do lots of motion capture. So say what you want about Kenobi, and personally, I feel like it had a lot of issues, but it was really cool to get to see Temuera Morrison in physical clone trooper armor, and it was also neat to see physical live action clones. The next time we see clone troopers in live action was really just a few months after we saw them in Kenobi, and that was with the Andor TV show. Again, wasn't really expecting to see clone troopers in Andor, but in some very quick flashbacks, we do get to see a lot of clone troopers patrolling around the towns of Ferrix. And again, it appears that these are actual actors in physical costumes. So guys, what do you think of this change? It really seems like from now on, every time we're gonna be seeing clone troopers in live action, it's gonna be actual actors in costumes rather than just CGI models. I know from hearing from a lot of cosplayers who dress up as clone troopers from the prequel trilogy that the costumes are very uncomfortable and they have to be modified to fit people because the literal clone trooper armor in the prequels that was CGI is actually not even made to fit a human being. It would be impossible to fit the fake computer armor on a physical person. Which is why when seeing these suits of armor in live action, they look a little bit different. So I'm sure a lot of cosplayers out there are pretty happy with the fact that we're now getting live action physical suits of armor because it'll just make cosplaying probably more comfortable and easier. Personally, I think that having physical costumes works in some instances when you're seeing, a few clones, not necessarily side by side in quick cuts, because you can't really tell that they're different people in the costumes. But like I said before, I feel like if we see a lot of clone troopers side by side fighting together in longer shots, longer takes, it would need to be CGI just to kind of sell that they're all clones, they're all the same person. They're not actors in costumes a little better. But with all this said, I do think they look more real when they're physical costumes. Even with how far CGI technology has come in the 20+ years we've been seeing it in Star Wars, it still just doesn't replace physical props, costumes, and actors. It's not the same. So I guess you could say I'm kind of on the fence. I think in some situations it's the right choice, but in others, it still remains to be seen if it would really work and if you can sell that these are clone troopers. But what do you guys think? I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions below. I'm sure a lot of people who really enjoyed the original trilogy and that whole aesthetic probably like the fact they're going with physical costumes. But a lot of prequel enthusiasts might think this ruins the look of clone troopers. So again, I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions down below in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more just like it, I would really appreciate if you subscribed. At the time of this recording, I have just passed 1,000 subscribers for this YouTube channel, and I cannot say enough that I appreciate the love and support that you guys have shown this channel. So if you want to see more videos like this where I talk about the behind the scenes and the costumes and filmmaking of Star Wars, along with filmmaking and photography tips, please be sure to subscribe. I love making these videos and I can't wait to make even more of them. And I've got plenty of more in the works coming out very soon. So make sure you hit that bell notification so you stay notified, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.